Hi scholars, I hope you had a good weekend. Now, like promised, I'm going to show you the project from last time of the 3 colors. It's a little faded for my taste, so I decided to draw a design on it. Here we go. And it pertains to this lesson too, because today we're going to talk about pattern. So pattern is just a repeat of colors, shapes, line, something that happens over and over again. So here is circle, line, circle, line, circle, line. This is a pattern. Now, something cool you can do at home with these after you finish coloring them or putting a pattern on it is I took this old paper clip, I don't know if you guys can see, and I just stuck it through the coffee filter. It was very easy to do. And now it can just hang up wherever you want. I think that's a really cool, interior design. You can tell your parents about it. See, we are going to dive into pattern using an example of what I asked you guys to look at last week. So last week we looked at Central African necklaces. Now, necklaces is specific to what we'll be looking at today, but even more interesting is we're going to dive into a little bit about Central Africa. What's there? What are the people like? So here we're going to look at a particular tribe in South Africa from Chad. Now, if you look, this is the continent of Africa, and this is where Chad is. So it's in the middle of Africa. It's kind of Central Africa. Now, the people that we're going to talk about is a trade called Maba, people of Chad. Now, this is kind of going far back in history, where here are a couple of examples of what their jewelry would look like. So here you have a beautiful design, a beautiful line pattern here on her cloth necklace. Here we have simple pattern of circle, circle, circle with some beautiful long ovals if we look really closely at it. And here, this is probably, this is a pattern that I used in one of my examples today. It is oval with 2 beads, oval, 2 beads, oval. And here I tried to circle the ovals for you. The circles for you, and see what kind of pattern we can get. Today we are going to be designing our own necklaces. Now, if you have paper, I feel like the paper one actually worked the best if you couldn't get the paper plate. It's just like this. I drew my line design on it, so in case you don't have markers, we are going to be using our primary colors today. So, once again, primary colors, blue, red, yellow. Red, yellow, blue, red. These are our primary colors. When I mix 2 colors together, they make a secondary color. We did an experiment last class about making secondary colors, so you guys should know. What does red and yellow make? What does yellow and blue make? And what does red and blue make? I'm not going to tell you the answers. I might at the end of the video, as a little refresher. Now, first we're going to go into pattern. So I used this necklace to inspire the pattern that I'm going to show you guys. Her necklace here with, can you guys see that? Yeah, with the beads. And I took those basic shapes and I turned them into a unique little pattern of oval, circle, circle. Now, using a Sharpie or a pen, whatever you guys have, pencil would work. I'm going to continue that pattern of long oval, circle, circle. Long oval, circle, circle. Another example of pattern would be if I say put lines in this one. So it's blank, line, blank, line, blank, line. And you can see I'm getting like a really cool effect without using any colors. So just line, black and white alone, making this pattern is interesting enough to be its own artwork. Blank line, blank line. One reason why this looks like a complete piece of artwork is because it has two elements of design, which are basically building blocks of a bigger picture. So we have here line, we have our shapes, go, and we don't have color, but I think it looks pretty good. Now this is child-sized, so it's not really gonna fit on Miss Pena, but if you want to make one for either your parent or guardian, you could make this circle bigger. When you cut it out, make it bigger so that it fits an adult. Now, another one, using the paper plate. The paper plates I found weren't as big as I'd hoped they would be, but if you could see, I also have pattern here of red, blue, yellow, red, blue, yellow, red, blue, yellow. So instead of using shape or line as my pattern, now I'm just using color. And even though there are circles, circle, mini circle, circle, mini circle, it's really the color that is the pattern of red, blue, yellow, red, blue, yellow. Now, I was using the markers for this one, and they didn't quite blend the way I would like them to. So putting the two colors next to each other can sometimes trick the eye into seeing the secondary color. So say I have my yellow here, which, by the way, our yellows should always go down first so I don't put yellow on a blue and change the color of my yellow. We want our yellows to stay yellow. I know this is a rule in the classroom. I just want you guys to take care of your markers at home too. We want these to last a really long time. So always put yellow down first. And so since my yellow is right here, I'm going to just color it in halfway with lines, maybe a little more. If I keep going over it too much, if I keep going over and over again, the ink is just gonna sink into the paper more and totally overtake my yellow. You can see a little green in some places, but it's really too dark. These are examples of the colors next to each other. You kind of get a cool effect, and you kind of trick the brain into thinking that it's green when it's just yellow, blue right next to each other. And the same with orange, so having red, yellow next to each other. I think it kind of worked the best with the red and blue markers next to each other because you can see purple from far away. But this is something, the paper plates, I think, really shine the most when you've cut them out. So I'm going to finish cutting these out. If you struggle a little too much with this, you can ask either a guardian or parent to help. And, you know, practice makes perfect. And this looks complicated, but it's a lot of twisting and turning. So here I'm going to be cutting out my square. So I'm going to move it in front of me, get my scissors at an angle. I want to make sure I'm using the back of my scissors. I want to make sure I get a good angle, check my fingers, make sure they're not anywhere close to my scissors. Now that my angle and my scissors are aligned, I'm going to cut down. And I'm going to move it this way so it's easier for me to cut straight. Move it this way. And if you notice, this is something Miss Pena is just doing all the time, turning my plate, especially when I'm cutting such details like this, because for this, I don't think we can go that fast without messing up. So going slowly is key. It looks as good as the care you put into it. So if you do it slowly and make sure you're getting everything the way you want it to, then I'm sure it'll come out with you loving it. Now I'm going to again, if you'll notice, I'm still changing the angles as I'm using my scissors. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting this out. Last cut, and boom. I have really cool texture right here on the edge. Now, if you have the plastic plates that have the ridges on them. You are really going to love this next project because I made the necklace using our recycled coffee filters. Not recycled, I'm sorry. Using our coffee filters with the hole cut out. So we cut the hole out last time. And using line as pattern. So this one was we had two types of pattern already. We have the color pattern here where I have blue, red, yellow, where I'm going red, blue, yellow. I forgot I colored this one in. Red, blue, yellow over and over again. This is the color pattern. This is a combination of shape and line. And this next one, this actually turned out to be my favorite. This is a combination of color and line. So I was able to use the ridges as a guide for my design. So if we go over here, I'm just going to go to a color that maybe is easier to see. I used each ridge to create an arch, and I'm just going to make my secondary color here, putting my blue next to my red, and I'm just going to use the ridges that naturally occur in the coffee filter to help me make my design. It looks pretty cool. Now, the only downside to the coffee filter is that it doesn't really hold as a necklace. So if you look at this paper one that we made, it closes naturally. See, and even this paper plate one that we made doesn't quite close, but it'll hang around your neck. This one doesn't really have any room. Maybe you can make it into like a cool little arm thing, or I tried cutting it, but the sad thing is it doesn't really hold. It kind of flops. But that could be another cool design that you use in your room or living room or wherever you want to hang it, just like we did with the other coffee filter tie-dye project. Now, I'm going to move on to our next project. So, once again, I just want to remind you guys to please upload. I want to see the cool things you guys are doing. So, upload it to this email. Again, apena@uplifteducation.org. We are going for our next project. We are still staying on the continent of Africa, but we are going to go towards where did I have it? Oh, now we are going to go more towards West Africa. These are the supplies you're going to need. Go ahead, if you want to, you can research some West African art. I'm sure you'll find a lot of really cool stuff. These are the supplies we are going to need. We are going to need an old shirt or cloth. I had this shirt that was donated to me and I cut strips out of it. You just want to make sure that it's a good reference, as big as a portrait. So as big as your face, maybe a little bigger, okay? That's the size of the cloth we're going to need for this next project. So if you have an old shirt, you can definitely cut it out of an old shirt or a cloth that no one's using anymore, preferably a light fabric. White, beige, light gray, just very light. No black or like purple or red, just light colors. Maybe a yellow could work. We'll see. Scissors. We're going to need scissors, water, a spoon, a bowl, mud, and a paintbrush. So if you don't have a paintbrush, don't worry about it. Next video, we'll come up with some good alternatives. I'm really excited about this project. Another thing you might need is either a bowl or Tupperware. Tupperware I think works really well because we're going to take our fabric and stretch it over the top of the Tupperware using a rubber band. So I'm going to just show this one last time and add Tupperware or rubber band. So please send me the artwork that you guys have made. I miss you guys, and I will see you next time.